What's up, guys? Daemonxel back again with another Eve Frontier video. Crude. It is what everyone is hunting for, what everyone is searching for, because it makes the ship's past Corvette function, right? We need this fuel to progress further in the game, make bigger and better things, and you can only do this through rift mining. Let's talk about it. All right, so we are talking about rift mining, right? The in and outs, how to get your fuel, how to reprocess it, where to find it. And that last one right there is basically the sticking point, right? Everyone is hunting for crude. You're always looking for it because if you don't want to be stuck in a Reaver or Reflex, I'm not knocking them because you can see right now I'm in a Reflex right now because it is currently the best jumping ship in the game for fuel. But where do you find these rifts? And the short story is they could be anywhere. It is random draw until they give us things in the game. And remember, this is still alpha phase, right? We don't have all the tools of the trade. We don't have everything they're going to be giving to us. But maybe down the line, they'll give us the means to locate these rifts instead of just blindly rolling the dice and jumping from everywhere. So basically, let me give you an idea. Currently, right now, let me show you where I am on the map. I am deep into the universe. As you see, I am deep into the map, into this galaxy here. I'm near the trinary system. There's the 3 black holes in the center. That's where the denseness is. It's like right around here. There's one. If I go to another setting, I should be able to bring up one. Well, we'll just put up jump range. Okay. So, you can see right here, here's one here, one here. Don't know the other one. Eventually, you should be able to see. Anyway, the current theory is the closer you get to the trinary, which is the 3 black holes, the more rifts you will find. But currently, as I was stating before, I am actually 1,006 light years from where my home base is. It is not feasible to mine rifts here and then bring it all the way back to where I am basically stationed. And the reason I'm stationed there is because that's where my tribe is set up. So it does not pay to go out here. So your best bet is, and the first step for rift mining is use your reflex, because you're only going to be using that D1, or if you get some salt, D2 fuel, which will allow you to, or basically it's hydrogen fuel, right? We're not talking the stuff that we're looking for. It allows you to jump around the easiest and to refuel, because as long as you're in a reflex, you have a miner, you have a gun, you should be okay, right? And what we do is we fill, let me bring up the settings here. This is for my mining reflex here. We have a cargo grid 2, gives us the most possible storage space. I basically fill my tank and I store whatever I have left in fuel in the cargo hold. And also in that cargo hold, I carry 50 metal rich ore and 100 common rich ore, as well as some, mining lenses. And the reason we do this is when we finally find a rift, perfectly close to home, you always want to stay at least just a few jumps away. And the reason we do this is because we need to switch up our fittings once we find that rift. We need to put up a refuge. We need to put a crude extractor on, and you can make this through the assembler. And we need to buy lens 3x, and this is the only thing that you can use to mine that crude. Now, the lenses are at every keep, right? Everywhere you can pick up what you need from the market, that's where they are. They are 100k lux each, so you're going to need to mine, well, not mine, you're going to need to go hunt some feral. So you have to go do some ratting so you can get the feral data, because currently right now that's the only thing worth selling in the game. As alpha phase, there's no built-up economy. So once you sell those, you get enough lenses, you can go on your hunt. I just got 3 just so we can do this video. So it took me forever to actually find the rift. So let's bring the rift up and let's go to it. Just had it here. All right, here it is. Here's the rift. Let's warp in on the rift and take a peek. At the rift, as you can see, it's right down here. All right, this is a young Fisher rift. Now, as you see, they look pretty damn cool. I mean, the art team is phenomenal at doing these things. But that's what we need to mine right there. So we're going to get in close to it. We're going to set up shop. We're going to set up our thing. Now, there are 3 different types of rifts currently. There are young rifts. There are old rifts. And this is where you get the young crude and the old crude from. But there's something else which is somewhat of a puzzle, which everyone in the community is still trying to figure out. And these are called 0020 rifts. No one knows what they are or how they function, and we are all trying to figure out what they are. Are they just beginning rifts? Are they sucking things in to make a rift? We do not know. Hopefully, as we progress before launch, we will figure that out. Now, as you can see, they kind of look a little bit like wormholes from EVE Online. I'm just saying, that's what they remind me of. So, the first thing we need to do is we need to build a refuge, and then we're going to need to swap out our fittings so we can do this. We're also going to build a portable storage so I can mine directly into the storage unit. Now, the reason we're doing this, right? Well, besides the fact that we need crude, but the fitting choices. We want to keep our guns on because when you find rifts, they are a highly sought after resource, so therefore it's a spot of contention. It is a PvP zone. So expect other ships to drop on, unless you're like me who is out in the middle of nowhere. But there you will occasionally find other ships here, and they will fight for the crude. All right, so now that we have the refuge built, let's go ahead and change our fittings here. All right, so we have our crude extractor loaded. We got our lens 3 loaded in. Now all we're going to do now is we're going to start mining. And it's going to work just like any other mining site that we're doing. But the animation's a little bit cooler. Let's get a little bit closer so you guys can see the animation here. Right about there, it's fine. It's kind of like a vacuum cleaner, right? We're just vacuuming in all that crude. And as it's coming in, there we go. As you can see, it has to do a full cycle to get crude. And because this is a young fisher, we're going to get the young crude. An old fisher will produce old crude. So we're pulling in about 50 per cycle. And each cycle is, I guess, about a minute. All right, guys, while I'm making my way back to base, because I had, as you saw, had to self-destruct, because I was way too far out from my base of operations. So we self-destructed. It's just a reflex. You can make them in what? Not even 20 minutes. So, anyway. I want to give a shout-out to xxNooMoahkTV. I just call him Moa, from the Reapers Tribe, who is usually streaming, but he is starting off his YouTube channel for E Frontier. So go ahead, give him a like, a thumbs up, give him a subscribe. It's great content. But I'm going to roll some of this footage here. And as you can see, these rifts do come in multiple flavors, right? Depending on what system you're in, they can look different. They can look black, they can look red, they can look orange. Again, this is another young fisher, so this is going to give us that other stuff. I'm going to go to the medium refinery, because that's what you need to use to break this down into the fuel that we actually need. But as you can see, the art team just did a phenomenal job on these rifts, and I'm really excited about what we're going to see further on the game when we get more textures, especially for ships and everything else. But let's go back and see exactly how we're going to break down this crude that we have, which I don't have, but how we're going to break that down into the fuel that we can use for our larger ships, because these fuels is what you're going to need to power anything above the Corvette class, right? That means frigates, destroyers, cruisers. We have the Moa, we have the Chumach, but they don't have the battle cruisers in yet, or the battleships from previous cycles. I'll put a video out from in the near future going over all the ships that have been released in previous cycles, and we can kind of look at where they were, what they're at now, but that's in a future video. Let's go to that medium refinery. All right, so I'm back home at my base of operations. Here we have our medium refinery, because this is what we're going to use to break down that crude. Now, obviously, I do not have any crude. I could not find any near where I live. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been 1,000 light years away from this base. But as you can see, if we mined out old crude, we would put it here. If we mined out young crude, which is what we were doing, we'd put it here. Now, each of these are going to break down into two different things. Now, both of them are going to produce salt. Now, salt is what is needed. Now, in previous cycles, salt is what generated the smart gates, right? Now we're using network nodes. So everything changes from cycle to cycle. So, like I said, everything that we're looking at now, take with a grain of salt, because it can change dramatically from the next cycle. But we get salt, and salt is used to make our D2 fuel. It is used for certain recipes to make other things in the game. So the young crude itself, right? We have here, it's going to produce uraxperite, and the old crude is going to produce sulfurgen. Now, I know I'm butchering these names. And if you've watched the channel, you know I am horrible with pronunciation. So I'm going to butcher things from time to time. Get used to it. So this is not our fuel, right? So as you can see here, though, young crude produces 1 salt and 28 of the uraxperite, where the old crude will give us more salt per unit, and it gives us sulfurgen. Now, when we use these themselves, so the soft right here is going to break down into our SOF40 fuel. That's our old crude. That's basically what I'm using now. That's the lowest grade fuel you can have. Whereas the praxite will break down into EU40 fuel. It's basically the same fuel. It's just the grades are a little bit different. And what I mean by that is that when we put that product, right, we can use it right here to fuel, but we can refine this further and make a higher grade fuels. And that's going to give us the difference. Now, it's the SOF40. That means it's 40% of the fuel. So it's the fuel capacity, or the fuel quality, is at 40%. So that means our EU90 is going to be at 90%. That's why we can get more out of that fuel. All right, so now we refined our fuels down to the Bayer's concepts, right? We got salt, we got our SOF40, we have our EU40. What do we do now? How do we get the higher grade, right? Well, let's talk about the higher grade for the hydrogen fuel. That's that D2 fuel. Now, you can do that through the printer small. You can do that through the printer small right here, and you're going to be using the salt with 200 of that D1 fuel. So we can just refine that D1 fuel and produce D2 fuel. And that's going to make, it's going to give us a little bit more quality. If you look at the qualities right here, our hydrogen fuel itself gives us a 10% quality, whereas the D2 fuel, that's going to give us a 15. So it's not a huge jump, but you will make it. Me personally, the only thing I would probably use this for is to power my network node. Only so I get a few more hours out of it. But the water with the new carbon patch and everything else, hydrogen fuel is so easy to come by now. It's not even worth it. But now let's talk about our crude, right? Now, our crude, you're going to need two things. One, you're going to need the crude, or whatever we produce, and you're going to need either a medium printer or a large printer. Now, with the medium printer, we can make SOF80 fuel, and that's it. We can't do the EU90, so we would need the old crude, and you would use the SOF40 fuel with catalytic dust to make our refined 80 fuel. And that's going to be our 80% quality fuel. Now, the catalytic dust, you will find that these will also drop off of ratting ferrules. So if you go to any of the PvE sites, you will notice that they will drop this catalytic dust. You just kind of have to stockpile it, or if someone's selling it in your region, you can purchase it, and that's how you're going to be able to make this higher grade fuel. Now, for the EU90, right, which is where we use the EU40 fuel, along with catalytic dust as well, you need a large printer for that. I don't have a large printer, so I can't show you that on the screen currently, but that's how you would make that's how we refine it down to that. So, in a nutshell, that is rift mining. So let's go over the essentials, right? What you're going to need exactly to close out this video to start your rift mining journey. One, you need a ship, right? You need a reflex. Now, once you have a stockpile of this larger grade, if you have a stockpile of either SOF or EU40 fuel, or even if you're graded it, brought it up to 80 or 90, once you have that stockpile, you can go ahead and start hunting these rifts down in your reflex, and then coming back in a USV, right, our mining frigate, to bring it back and to mine it from that frigate. This way you'll take a lot less time. But that I only recommend that once you have a stockpile of the fuel, so that you're not burning fuel to make fuel, if in that sense. 2, we need a crude extractor. The crude extractor is made from our assembler. Now, we are also going to need lens 3X. Now, let me bring up the regional report here. All right. So we need our lens 3X, which is going to cost us 100,000 lux per lens. And you're always going to want to have at least a few of these lenses with you, so stockpile. Now, you may wonder, well, I don't have any lux. How am I going to get this? Well, you're going to have to rat, as we stated before. So you're going to need feral data. And the feral data will sell on the market for 5,857 each. So, basically, you're going to have to stockpile a bunch. Now, I got 3 lenses. I turned in, I think it was 69 feral data, and I got somewhere like a little over 300,000 lux selling these, because there's always buy orders for this. And that got me 3 lenses. So, stockpile your lux to get more lenses, and then just jump around, and hopefully you are lucky enough to stumble across one of these rifts to start mining. And in a nutshell, that's what it is. Now, it is easier if you work together with your tribe. Other than that, until I talk to you guys again, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Fly safe. Remember, here on this channel, we are always one vision, one purpose, one front. I'll see you guys in the next video.